Hi and welcome back to my booktube channel. My name is Sam and today I'm going to be doing another series review for you guys because this is a quartet of books that has been sat on my shelves for the longest time and I finally want to dig my teeth into them and get them done. I have previously read the first two books. I'll be rereading those in order to unlock the second two and we'll be discussing them all in this video. So be sure to leave a like, comment and subscribe for more content from me. But without further ado, the book series that I'm going to be reading in this video is The Raven Boys by Maggie Steve Otter. Now this is the original quartet. I am aware that there has been books published past these books, but I'm only going to be focusing on the original quartet for now. Maybe I'll do a video catching up with the other ones if I end up liking these books. Now I have previously read the first two books, which are The Raven Boys and Dream Thieves. I have read these a couple of years ago. I wasn't too fussed on them, so I don't really remember much about them. So I will be rereading these two books in this video, but then I'll be starting fresh on wrong one. Blue Lily, Lily Blue, which is the third book, and The Raven King, which is the fourth and final book in this quartet. So yeah, without much further ado, I think we should get into some non-spoilery thoughts, or like a synopsis of this series. So if you don't know, The Raven Boys follows a group of teenagers as they try to hunt down an ancient Welsh king who they believe once you find him, he'll grant the person find him one wish. And they need that wish, and they all have their different reasons for needing this wish, or finding the king. And yeah, that is kind of the main premise of this book series. There's also other agents at play. It's very much a kind of urban fantasy feel with this kind of a normal world, but there's magical elements. So there's ghosts and there's psychics. There's psychics and there's magical way lines, and yeah, it's very much a mix of contemporary and fantasy, where it's not strictly one or the other. It's kind of a good blend, and it just makes sense as well the way it's written. We follow the four main players, who are Blue Sargent, who was told throughout her entire life that she will kill her true love. So yeah, that's a bit stressful. Then we have Adam, Ronan and Gansey, who are the boys from this kind of elite prep school. They're the Raven Boys from this Raven College. And yeah, they kind of have varying needs for this wish, and they also have various perspectives on the kind of trials and tribulations of this task. But yeah, I won't say much more than that. That's kind of the main summary. Some non-spoilery thoughts. I would say I've now reread the first one. I really enjoyed it a lot more than the first time I read it. So maybe it does take a few tries to get into this series, because it's obviously took me 2 times and now I'm actually quite enjoying it. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. It's really fun. It's really enjoyable. The writing so far is really fun and funny. And maybe I didn't cut it enough slack the first time, but yeah, enough rambling. Let's get into the first book, which is The Raven Boys. Okay, so let's get into the first book. Like I've said, I've read this one before and I was a little bit harsh on it because it was one of my friend's favourite books, and I'd previously read Maggie Steve Otter's other book, Shiver, with another friend, and we were kind of like, what is this? So I went into this one kind of skeptical that it was going to be good, and I was like kind of judging my friend, like, would you like Maggie Steve Otter? I was very harsh back then. I apologise, and I've since made it up to my friend because I have now reread this one and I've enjoyed it. I boosted it from, I think it was a 2 or a 3 stars initially to a 4 stars because, I don't know, I think partly knowing what was going to be coming, like these random elements like Gansey's sister having a helicopter he could just use, or like this like murderous teacher and these psychic women. Like, I think going into it knowing that there's going to be these kind of random magical elements that aren't really explained, they're just part of the world, I think initially that kind of threw me off because I was very much a critical reader back then, because I was like, oh, this doesn't make any sense. Why is this not explained? It's like, Sam, not everything needs to be explained all the time. Like, things can just be magical. It's just the world that we're in. So I was a lot less critical going in this time, and I think that's one of the major points of me liking it again. Like, I knew what was kind of going to come out, and I kind of knew kind of the stakes of the novel. I'm not going to do like a whole plot breakdown because that would make the video so long. I'm just going to kind of pick out some of my favourite points about the book, but I'll try and do it chronologically if I can remember whereabouts in the story they came from. So I really like the opening where we see Blue in, is it the Bone Road? Like the other name for the way line, which is like these magical lines that crisscross the world, and they're kind of believed to have like a specific stronger connection to magic. I really like the opening of Blue in that kind of graveyard setting, and she sees the ghost, and throughout her entire life she's been told if you kiss your true love he will die. And then in this graveyard a boy appears to her who seemingly seems to be who she will fall in love with. And it's Gansey, who they've not met yet. So I just really like that kind of setup. I like that our characters didn't all know each other from the beginning, and it was kind of this first book kind of just establishing them getting to know each other. And I assume throughout the rest of the series, their bonds will get stronger. But this first book, I like that they weren't just a gang from the start. I like seeing them come together, and I like seeing their different interactions and how each of them interact with each other separately, as well as kind of the interaction at the cafe, where I think was it Ronan or Gansey? I can't remember, but he was basically implying that she would be a woman of the night. And she was like, do you just come up to every woman to talk like this? And he's like, well, and they're kind of confrontation. I thought that was funny. And it just I just really liked Blue. She was so, I think she's one of the best characters in this first book, at least, because it's the only one I've read and remember. But I really like Blue. I just liked how confrontational she was. She was headstrong, but she wasn't always certain on things, and I just really liked her. She was funny. She had a great sense of humor, and I liked that she was just constantly judging the boys. But yeah, that cafe situation was interesting, and yeah, like I was saying, I really liked seeing them all to come together. I liked her kind of falling in love with Adam, even though her true love is supposed to be Gansey, but she's kind of now falling for Adam. But then later on, she is having feelings for Gansey a little bit, or like it's implied. So yeah, like the dog walking thing where he comes and he's like, hey, do you want to come search with me? And she's like, well, I've got to walk some dogs. And he's like, oh, okay. And she's like, it'll only take an hour, I'll come anyway, I'll still come. And he's like, oh, great. And yeah, that was cute. So like, what's gonna happen there? Like, is she gonna go with Adam? Is she gonna go with Gansey? Like, I guess we'll soon find out. But yeah, back to chronologically. So we also get introduced to kind of like the teacher of the boys. So the boys are in this kind of prestigious school. That's why they're called the Raven Boys, because the emblem of the school is a raven. And they're like this elite school. And also Blue has this really funny saying of, I don't remember what it was. It was like, never trust a boy, especially a Raven boy, because they're bastards, or something along that line. She kept repeating that. I was like, you know what? I think it's starting to feel a bit true here, because they were bastards. But yeah, we get introduced to a teacher at their school, and he is also looking for this old ancient Welsh king. And he kind of has an eye on Gansey, because Gansey has this notebook full of notes, and Gansey is a character who very much enjoys the thrill rather than finding the thing, which I thought was an interesting kind of character. I liked kind of the nuances between the characters of like Gansey is in it for the thrill of it, and like he likes the chase. Ronan's kind of just the, I guess I'll just follow along because you two are. I don't really want to be here. And then Adam like is in a position where he really needs the wish, because I think Adam has like an abusive household. I think that's shown specifically in the second book. I think it was shown in this one. I can't remember what I'm remembering there, but I know he has like an abusive relationship with his father, I think it is. So he has a reason for needing the wish. Blue is trying to figure out this kind of prophecy of kissing her true love and him dying. So they all have their different reasons, and it's very interesting. But this teacher kind of catches on to Gansey, is also looking for it, and then he starts to try and kill Gansey, and like there's like this whole thing about needing a sacrifice for the line to wake up the wish guy, and he's trying to use Gansey, and I'm like, excuse me, how dare you? I've just got to know these characters. Oh, and we have another guy who I completely forgot about, called Noah, who it's revealed at the end was a ghost the entire time, and like that was a really cool twist. So like each character, like I said, has this really interesting kind of backstory and kind of point in the plot. I don't know if I'm making any sense in this review. I'm just kind of saying things as they come to my brain. But Noah was also very interesting. I think towards the start of the book, I didn't really pay too much attention to him, because I didn't really care. It felt like a lot of characters, and I already had kind of the three boys and Blue who I was like mainly focusing on. So Noah was just kind of like the side character. And then when it was revealed he was dead the whole time, it was like, oh, Noah, who's Noah? Oh, Noah was the guy that lived with them for a while. And then Noah kind of became a bigger character in my brain. I started to pay attention to him more. So I guess I only really knew Noah after his reveal, because I didn't really pay attention to him before. But I really liked Noah. And I just found it so sad that he'd gone to this cave with his friend, and his friend has sacrificed him. It was sad. But yeah, other things that happened. I really liked Blue's family. They were very interesting. I like that each it was very like the Three Witches and Macbeth almost. Like they were very kooky and crazy, and they kept saying things and then not saying things. And there was the reading with where the three boys initially come for a reading at the psychic's house, and they do the card game. And she brings up that Ronan was the reason his father was dead, or something like a secret killed his father. So I'm wondering if that will be revealed in the next book. I mean, the next book seems to be focusing on Ronan, I think, because it's revealed at the end. I'm jumping from bit to bit, but Ronan has this bird throughout the book, and it's like, oh, is Ronan just caught like a baby raven? Like, why has he got a baby raven all of a sudden? Like, dude, are you okay? And at the end, he's like, and guys, I pulled this raven out of my dreams. Let's see if I can find the line. I told you there was going to be spoilers. I've spoiled like the entire book already. Yeah, so the little raven bird that he got is called Chainsaw. And the last line of the freaking book is, I took Chainsaw out of my dreams. And it's like, bitch, what? What? Okay, so we have an ancient Welsh king that grants a wish, and now we have people pulling things out of their dreams. Like, I wish I could do that, because then I could pull Glenn out of my dreams from The Walking Dead. But yeah, anyway, yeah, he pulled Chainsaw out of his dreams, and the next book is called The Dream Thieves, so I'm assuming he'll be stealing more things from his dreams, and I don't know, that kind of is like an interesting kind of resource. Like, is that going to be exploited? Like, what's he going to use that for? Is there going to be some bad things that come out of his dreams? I think when I edited my photo for the Instagram review I did for the Dream Thieves a while ago, I put like a demon face in the corner. So does he like pull a demon out of his dreams or something? Or a dragon? Yeah, I'm kind of trying to uncover past Sam's memory of these books. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it there for this first book, and we'll move on to the next book. But I will say I enjoyed this one. It's 4 stars from me. I really liked the kind of dynamics between the characters and how they kind of came to know each other rather than being an established group already, which is often done in books. We just have a group of friends, whereas this one we saw the friends come together, and I presume the rest of the quartet will then follow the friendship group. And I think it was a very good way of establishing the characters on a one-to-one basis. I like the connections between them. I'm very most interested to see what's going to happen between Blue and Adam and Gansey. Like, that's such a, like, because her true love is supposed to be Gansey, and like his ghost appeared to her, but then she has feelings to Adam because that's kind of the first point of contact she has with the group. So I'm very interested with that. And it seems that Ronan and Adam have a really strong relationship as well. Ronan is kind of like a backbone, but Adam, he kind of supports Adam and kind of helps him through it, because I feel like Ronan must know what's going on at home for Adam. So yeah, it's very, very interesting dynamics. I think that is one of the main strong points of this series, is going to be the character dynamics. My predictions for the next book, I kind of influenced by what I kind of remember and what I don't remember, but I presume we're going to follow up on Ronan pulling Chainsaw out of his brain. I've just realised, there's this Chainsaw on the cover. I mean, I guess it's just symbolic of the Raven Boys, but it could be Chainsaw on the cover. It's a bit older than Chainsaw is, but it could be Chainsaw, you know? And there's like a little heart in it, which is really cute. But yeah, my predictions for the next book, I guess, are Ronan is going to be the centre stage. He's going to be pulling things out of his dreams. Maybe he won't be able to control his powers. Maybe he will, because he pulled Chainsaw out, but maybe that was like a small thing. I don't know. Anyway, my prediction is Ronan's not going to be able to control his dream stealing powers, and he's gonna pull something out that he doesn't want to pull out, and it's going to cause some chaos. In terms of Blue and Gansey, I think maybe they'll fall more in love. I do think she'll go with Gansey more than Adam for the first half of the series. I think maybe she'll go back to Adam at the end. I don't know. Or maybe she'll end up with no one, to be fair. I could see Blue doing that. I love Blue as a character. She just does whatever she wants. Yeah, I think they're my predictions, I guess. That's enough rambling. Let's get on to the next book. I really enjoyed this one. Let's get on to the Dream Thieves and hope it carries on my enjoyment of the series. Okay, let's go. Okay, so I'm back, and I've now reread the second book, The Dream Thieves, which is as far as I got into this series last time before I gave up. And I will say, I enjoyed this a lot more on the second time round. I feel like I actually know what was going on this time. I actually enjoyed it. I think maybe more than the first one, but I can't say for sure, because I kind of took a break between filming this video, but I do think I quite like this one. Definitely a lot more than I did originally. So I'm excited to get into this one. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers in the rest of this video as we move on into the later parts of the series. So if you have not read this, then go read it and come back. But the first thing I want to say is, like, the more I read this, and I'm pretty sure it's going to continue to be this way, but the more I read this series, the more I feel like this is just the book equivalent of Riverdale, if you know that show. Because it's just so wild. Like, in this one alone, we have like dragons fighting in the air, blowing up cars. We've got dream walkers, we've got hitmen, we've got magical boxers, and it's just like the most random boiling pot of ideas and things in this world that are happening to these children, and I'm like, that you can't convince me that this is not Riverdale. Like, come on. And I know that's gonna be offensive to some people, because I know my friend who absolutely loves this series and absolutely despises Riverdale is gonna argue with me to death, like, this is not Riverdale, but it is. It's Riverdale. This is Riverdale as a book series, and yeah, you can't convince me otherwise. Maybe when I read the other two books, it will change. But as for the first two books, this is Riverdale, okay? But anyway, let's get into discussing the Dream Thieves, because I did really enjoy it this time round. I will say I did struggle to get back into it initially. It was kind of like, oh, I don't know if this is as good as the first one. I'm not feeling it. Like, a lot of things were happening, and I just wasn't paying that much attention. I was like, I don't really get this. But eventually, when things started to pick up, especially with Ronan and Kravinsky, that side of things, I definitely kind of got attached to that section. And the Grey Man was a really good addition. But let's try and keep this chronological, my thoughts chronological. So the first kind of things that happen in this book are Gansey and the gang buy a warehouse and turn it into their base. But that's not really that relevant. In this book, at least, like, it didn't seem that relevant. Like, yeah, sure, they have a warehouse base, but they're hardly in it. They're normally at Blue's house, or like in Cavewater, or like looking for Cavewater, because in this book, Cavewater has disappeared. They try to go find it on the ley line, and it's just missing. The woods are gone, and they're like, what the hell? Where's Cavewater gone? We kind of need that. So yeah, the book starts off with kind of the ley line disappearing or weakening, and they buy a warehouse as their home base. And it's kind of just establishing everything again. Also in this book, we see more of Ronan. Sorry for the camera shaking, I'm holding the phone. But we see more of Ronan discovering how to use his dream-walking abilities, because obviously that was something revealed at the end of the previous book, was that Ronan pulled Chainsaw, I forgot the name of the bird then. Ronan pulled Chainsaw, his pet bird, out of his dreams, and that was like, how the hell did you do that, Ronan? Do you have dream powers? Because again, Riverdale, things just happen, things just are. But yeah, Ronan tries to kind of uncover the strengths and weaknesses of his powers in here. He's trying to kind of learn to control them and understand them, and perhaps unveil where they came from, although we don't get too many answers on that, except that his dad had these powers before him. But yeah, this book has a strong focus on Ronan and his backstory and his family. We meet his brothers, Matthew specifically. I think the other one's dead. I can't remember what happened to the other one. I only remember Matthew, and his dad who died, and his mum who's kind of in like a coma state. She's like non-responsive, but she's alive, which I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, we have a heavy focus on Ronan, and I have kind of a creeping suspicion that because there's 4 books in this series, and there's 4 main characters, and the first book focused a lot on Gansey and Gansey's ambition to find the ley line. I keep wanting to call it the way line. Gansey wanted to find the ley line, and it felt very strongly that it was a Gansey-centered book, and now this one's a strongly centered Ronan book. So I'm kind of suspicious if like the series is going to be, so the next one is called Blue Lily Lily Blue. I'm guessing that's going to be heavily focused on Blue and perhaps the prophecy, and exploring that a bit more and fleshing that out and maybe finishing that. And the Raven King is about Adam, I guess, because he's the only one left. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of don't really care about Adam. He's kind of annoying. But yeah, I have a suspicion that each of these books is going to focus strongly on one of the main 4 characters. I'm probably wrong there, but that's just what I got after reading this one and the first one. So I just throwing that out there, if I'm right and if I'm wrong. But yeah, so Gansey buys warehouse, the ley line is gone. And they're kind of figuring that out. We have a hitman called the Grey Man, who is sent by his benefactor, someone that hired him, who I believe was called Green Waters or something like that. Weird names. Like, I just can't remember these names. They're so weird. So, but the grey man is sent to look for a grey Roran, which he believes is an object, but in fact is actually kind of Ronan, and it's basically someone who can pull things out of the dreams and make them a reality. And basically his boss runs like a museum kind of thing, and he just wants to exhibit this and own it as part of his collection. He's out doing that, and he ends up getting tangled up with Blue's mum, and they end up having like a romance. Blue's mum and this random hitman, which again, anything can happen here. We also have a mysterious box that has 4 languages on each side, but they only know 3 of the languages. One of them is something they've never seen before, which is kind of suspicious because in Ronan's dad's will, there's like there's like a sentence that is in a language they don't recognize. So they're like, is that corresponding? Do they relate to each other? Which I don't think we ever got any answers to. I can't remember. I did just finish this, and I can't remember anything coming of that. I know they translate the line at the end because Ronan figures it out, but I can't remember what the box had to do with that. But yeah, that is kind of the setup of this book, and then we kind of delve deeper into Ronan as a character and his dreamwalking things. But that is the premise. We get set up. We've got way lines, we've got a mysterious box, hitman, blah 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 blah. So I think I'm going to focus on Adam quickly first because he had the least interesting part of this book. He was just really shaken up from the previous book. Obviously he made a sacrifice, which I didn't quite understand at the end of the previous book, but then it was reiterated here and I understood it. So basically his sacrifice to save the Wayline was to become its eyes and ears and have that responsibility of that much power coming through him, being the eyes and ears of the Wayline and the mysterious, I forgot the name of the woods already, of Caves Water. So he's its eyes and ears. And that's reiterated, and he's just kind of angsty and annoying the entire book. There's a part where he has a confrontation with Blue, and he's like, hey, why are you avoiding me? Why don't you just kiss me? And she's like, because, and then she tells him the actual prophecy, which I wasn't expecting to come up so soon that she would just tell him. But I'm glad she did, because I don't like when things like that get drawn out for no reason. I'm glad she didn't lie to him. But she was like, hey, basically, I've been told my entire life, if I kiss my true love, they will die. And he's like, your true love? And she's like, yeah, but right now, the way you're acting, I don't think you're my true love because you're acting like a dickhead. And I'm like, good for you, Blue, because he is. He's just annoying. And I know he's going through stuff, but like we all are. Like, get some grips, Adam, okay? But Adam is, just annoying. There's a part where he goes to like a political rally for Ganzi's mum because I feel like I'm going to say that a lot just because. So they go to a political rally because Ganzi's mum is like a politician, and she has a ball and she likes to use Ganzi, like this really smart, to like show off her really smart son who's in this really prestigious boarding school and like this. And then Adam feels like very out of place because obviously Adam is there on a scholarship. He's obviously not from a well-off family like Ganzi, so he's feeling like estranged from that situation, which is fair enough, but still he's just annoying. Like, I can sympathize with Adam. I understand why he felt the way he did throughout the book. I just found it really annoying because he was just nothing but hassle, and I could sympathize with why he was feeling the way he did, like feeling left out at the party, being annoyed that Blue wasn't being straightforward with him and was kind of avoiding that kind of topic of true love and stuff. But still, I just found him annoying, and that confrontation with Blue annoyed me because I was like, stop speaking to her like this, please. And he was like, why don't you just kiss me then if it's not going to do anything? I'm like, she doesn't owe you anything. Like, she doesn't have to kiss you to prove anything. Like, back off, mate. So yeah, Adam was annoying, and at the end, his role within this plot is to fix the ley line, and he has been getting like weird visions, which he's kind of been pushing away, but eventually we find out that is Casewater trying to communicate with him and tell him how to fix it, and at the end of the book he fixes it just in time to help Ronan with his final stage, but we'll get to that. So yeah, let's go on to Ganzi. So Ganzi has a significantly smaller part in this book than he did in the previous book. He's just kind of there. I'm trying to think of something significant that he did, but he didn't really do anything significant in my opinion. He was just kind of there, which is fair enough. It's not his book. This is Ronan's book. But I remember him at the end with Blue was helping out in terms of doing something with Ronan, which I'll get onto in a minute. He had obviously the political party. We got a bit of trauma about his mum and how he feels about that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all Gansey does. He has a moment with Blue where we find out that Blue feels more feelings towards Gansey. So there's like a whole love triangle going on between Blue, Gansey, and Adam. And I don't know how I feel about it. I think after this book, I do prefer Blue and Gansey. And I think Blue prefers Gansey over Adam as well. But like Adam's still there, like a thorn in the side. As for Blue, she has a similar kind of role to Gansey is she's there to support the other characters, specifically Ronan, but she does have obviously the development with Adam and Gansey, that kind of side of things. She spends a lot of time at home with her mum because her mum obviously has the plot with the Grey Man and the Hitman, so she's obviously there all the time and they're kind of sussing out the Grey Man, like, what's he really here for? And they figure out quite quickly that he's a hitman and that he's after like a dream, a Grey Warren thing. They figure that out quite quickly because they go through his emails, and I just find that so funny. Like they mess this man around so much, but the thing is the hitman ends up getting actual feelings for Blue's mum and this whole kind of group of women, of these psychics in this house, who I can't for the life of me remember the names of them. Like I remember it in the moment when I read it, I know who they're talking about in the thing, but then when it comes to actually reviewing it or talking about this book, I just completely forget all the names of like Blue's mum and her two aunts, and I don't know their names, so that's how I'm going to refer to them. Blue's mum, Blue's aunt. So yeah, that's Blue's whole thing. Her mum is very fun. I really liked all the cute dates with the Grey Man because both of them had their own angles. Obviously, the Grey Man was trying to figure out where the Grey Warren was and if these psychics knew anything because he knew they were holding things back, whereas she was like trying to figure out what he was doing there because they obviously knew he's a hitman. So they both were kind of playing with each other, trying to get information from each other, but they also formed like actual romantic feelings as they were doing it, which I found really fun. I really like the redemption of the Grey Man because obviously he never was outright a villain, but he was very intimidating at times because there's a moment where Ronan and his brother are with their mum in a basement and they have to hide because the Grey Man's there, and he like takes the box because the box is completely irrelevant, so who cares what happens to that. But that scene was very intimidating because he kind of just walks into the room and it's this very ominous feeling, and he sees their mum and he's like, what are you doing down here like this? He was very intimidating, but also I really like the redemption at the end. Basically, he was scared to betray his boss because his brother, who I guess is also a hitman, was like had always been after him and he'd only just escaped him this time and then obviously become a hitman. But then his boss is like, hey, if you don't give me this fucking Grey Warren, I'm going to send your brother after you. And then obviously he falls in love with the Blue's mum and he's like, well, you know what? Now I know that Ronan is the Grey Warren. I can't really give Ronan away because then my new girlfriend will not like me for giving her her daughter's friend away. So yeah, he basically does this whole self-sacrifice thing. Like, I'll just tell them I'm stealing it for myself. I'll leave town and never come back. I've got to escape my brother. But you guys keep Ronan. You guys can keep Ronan. Because who wants Ronan? I do, but no one else does, because of his attitude. Ultimately, he does face his brother, and it's like this really quick finale. Like, it felt like it was building up so much, and he's like being chased by two cars. They end up at a petrol station. He's like, yeah, the petrol station is the safest place to be because it has the cameras when you're in the middle of the petrol pumps, and only an idiot would like kill you there. And he like outsmarts the other two assassins that were there and gets rid of them, who were also looking for the Grey Warren as well. And then his brother comes along, and it's like this epic thing. They're like, what's going to happen? I'm here, little brother. And then he just shoots his brother. And I'm like, okay, that's that sorted. And then he drives back and he goes back to Aglenby. What was the name of the town? I think that was it. He just goes back and he's like, hey guys, killed my brother. I'm here to stay now. Let's be friends. That is all the side parts. Now, Ronan is, again, the main focus of this book. And he is discovering his powers. And he runs into this other guy called Kravinsky, who is the local drug addict. Because he is the local drug addict. He's very impulsive and he's just all over the place. But when he challenges Ronan to a drag race, not the fun kind of drag race, like a car drag race, and they go around, and he ends up saving Ronan's life when this kind of night terror, that was the name of it, a night terror attacks Ronan. Because it's like a monster that's come out of his dreams when he subconsciously used his dream powers. He's accidentally brought this night terror out and now it's attacking them. And it totally ruins Gansey's car in the process. because Ronan borrowed Ganzi's car. Sorry, I'm being a bit all over the place to hear myself. But yeah, this Night Terror fights Ronan, tries to kill him. It completely totals Ganzi's car, which is his pride and joy. And Ronan's like, shit, I'm gonna get murdered by Ganzi for this. Like, Ganzi is gonna kill me for ruining his car. Like, literally kill me, because this is his pride and joy. And he's stressing about that more than he is, like, nearly losing his life, which I found quite hilarious. But Kravinsky comes in at the last minutes and shoots the Night Terror to death and saves Ronan. And they kind of form, like, this kind of bond. Like, they're not friends, but they're not complete villains. They kind of just, like, begrudgingly need each other. And they're begrudgingly drawn to each other because, obviously, they both have their dark sides. And we learn that Kravinsky is a Grey Warren as well, and he is quite proficient. He is very good at pulling things out of the dreams. He can be very specific. He can get whatever he wants. And he basically takes drugs that put him to sleep, gets what he wants, then wakes up again. He's like, hey, I just got a new car, and stuff like that. So he's like, he wants to take Ronan under his wing and have like a sidekick in Ronan, which is a driving point in their kind of confrontation later on, because basically he wants to control Ronan because he wants someone else with his powers, just to build up like his rep and stuff and his power. But yeah, they kind of, there's a moment where they kind of get along and he helps Ronan figure out his powers, and Ronan is able to summon an exact replica of Ganzi's car and give it back to Ganzi, and Ganzi can't even tell the difference, so he's not that mad. He's like, okay, fair enough. I'm a bit confused why you told me my car was wrecked, but now it's here. And he's like, well, this is a dream car. And he's like, how the hell did you do that? Just because. But yeah, then ultimately Kravinsky goes a bit too mental and he kidnaps Ronan's brother Matthew, and he's like, hey, be with me or I am going to kill your brother. And Ronan finds out that the reason Cave's water is missing and the ley line is dying is because Kravinsky is draining it of all its power, because he's using his dream Grey Warren abilities too much. He's pulling too much out of the dreams and it's draining the way line and it's sending it off the charts, and that's why it's weakening and dying. And that's why Cave's water was missing when they went to try and find it, because Kravinsky is just taking all the magic and all the power for his own gains, his magical parties that he loves to throw and scare people and get them into fear so they fear him. So Kravinsky becomes the villain and he kidnaps Matthew, Ronan's brother, and he puts him in the boot of one of 20 identical cars and is like, hey, you better find him because I'm about to pull a dragon out of my motherfucking dreams. And he does. He pops a pill, pulls out a dragon out of his dreams, and it's like, what are you gonna do now, guys? I have a literal dragon in here. Because he's like obsessed with blowing things up. So of course he goes for a dragon to end the plot. So Ronan's like in the dreams and he's really trying to muster up something as big as a dragon to fight it, because obviously he's learned to use his powers with getting the car and stuff, but he's not like proficient like Kravinsky is, because Kravinsky's just had longer to deal with it. At the same time, like I said, Adam is fixing the way line. He's going around with one of Blue's aunts and they're like picking up stones that are in the wrong place, flipping them round, going into people's gardens and rearranging things. It's like all these little trivial things, but like they affect the way line's power and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting, but not that much. So he ends up fixing the way line in time. Ronan summons a gigantic Night Terror that he's able to pit against the dragon. The dragon and the Night Terror are fighting. They start destroying the cars one by one as Ganzi and Blue, who I mentioned, are here helping out. They are like looking for Matthew. They're like going through all the cars, but they're like having to rush because this dragon is like destroying a car after car after car. And it's like, oh no, Matthew could be in any one of those. But eventually we do win. And we beat the dragon, and the dragon ends up killing Kravinsky, who stood on a car. He's going crazy. We try to do the things like, we can redeem you. Just get off the car, please. We can redeem you. You can join us. But then the dragon kills him. And it's like, okay, you got killed by your own creation because you are mad and you were too powerful. So yeah, Kravinsky's dead, which is kind of a shame because I thought he was quite an interesting character and I would like to have seen more from him, but also he's kind of unhinged, and I think we have enough unhinged things happening in this series. We end the story. Cave's water is back, except this time instead of that pool where there's like fish that change color, there's like a gigantic cave. Cave's water, there we go. The water turned into a cave, and we're presuming that this cave is going to lead us further on our mystery to find Glendower? What was the king's name? The guy with the grants the wish. Who's still a plot in this. We're still trying to find him. But now this is giant cave, and we find out that Blue's mum. We get back to the house, and she's left a note, and she's like, "I'm down the cave now, and so is Glendower. So come and get me." Which is just like, why? Why is she going down the hole? I'm presuming that'll be revealed in the next book, or I just missed it. But like, she just goes down the cave for some reason, and she just knew it was there. I guess she's a psychic; she would know. But yeah, I don't know why she went down the cave. If that was explained in this one, I missed it. But if it's going to be explained in the next one, fair enough. But now they're like, shit, we have to go get my mum. Speaking of mums, Ronan and Matthew fix their mum. They take her to the cave's water. Now it's back, and she is healed with the magic. Because basically the thing is, if you take something out of a dream and then you die, it just stops working. It's like a computer, which is how it's described in this book. It just, without input, it doesn't do anything. So basically Ronan's dad had pulled their mum out of a dream, and then had obviously the kids. But then the dad was murdered by the Grey Man, who just goes, "Yeah, I murdered your dad brutally. What are you going to do about it?" And Ronan's like, "How dare you? I'm not going to forgive you." But yeah, the dad died, and then the mum obviously just went unresponsive. Like, she's just stopped working like a computer. There was no one there to kind of power her, because she's obviously a magical thing that's been pulled out of a dream. And I like that we never addressed that Ronan's mum is a figment of someone's dream. Like, she's not a real person. She's just a magical dream person. But again, just because. But yeah, I think I said pretty much everything that happened in this book. And it was completely unhinged, but I actually quite liked it. Like, I didn't at the start. And yeah, and I did take a break halfway through this to read You Exist Too Much and The Glass House, a memoir and a fiction book. They were really good. They were my first two books of the year, but now this is my third. And yeah, I enjoyed this one the second time around. I'm actually excited to continue the series this time. Yeah, what a turn of events. I am actually liking this, and I thought I was going to hate it. But yeah, let's get into book 3 of Riverdale. The Raven Cycle. And see what madness happens in book 3, which I'm predicting will focus more on Bloom and will be about the prophecy, and maybe we'll defy the prophecy, we'll break the prophecy. You know what could also be what's happening is I think each of the characters is getting what they need / want, and then by the end of the series, when we do find Glendower, no one will actually need the wish. That's my prediction. I don't think we're going to need the wish by the end of this. I think by the time we get there, everyone's going to resolve their shit. But I guess we'll see. I mean, Gansey, we know Gansey just wants the power. Just wants the recognition of like, hey, I found this thing. And he was thinking more of like, oh, Adam needs the wish. But fuck, I don't think. But yeah, hopefully the next book makes me like Adam more. But yeah, I've been talking for 24 minutes now. It's gone to book 3, which is Blue Lily, Lily Blue. Okay, so I am back, and I have now read book 3 in the Raven Cycle Quartet, which is Blue Lily, Lily Blue. And yes, I think I said this about the Dream Thieves, but this one is now my favourite in the quartet because it just built so much on the main storyline of Glendower and the mystery surrounding that. And a lot happened within this book. And whilst my favourite character is Ronan, 100% now, I'm set up that he's so funny. And the second book was like his book. I do think the plot and the mystery of this one did push it slightly above that one, so sorry, Ronan. But yeah, also my guess that each book is going to focus a bit more on each of the 4 characters, and we've got 4 books, we've got 4 characters, each one's going to focus on a specific character more than the others. It's kind of coming true. So the Raven King needs to not let me down with that theory. But obviously we had the Raven Cycle was more about Gansey. He was like the main leader of the group, and he was having this mystery about Glendower. It was all about Gansey. The second book was Ronan and his struggles and with like his dream powers. And then this one was really heavy on Blue, which I mean, I'd hope it is. She's in the title twice. But yeah, this one really focused on Blue as a character and her people skills. And obviously we've got the main kind of driving point of this plot is her mum's disappeared down this hole and like, I'm gonna go find your dad, see ya, in the previous book, and now we follow directly on from that. So with the emotional stakes of the plot, it was heavy on Blue, so it makes sense that this was about Blue. And yeah, I think this does a lot of interesting work with Blue, because Blue was kind of like yeah, okay, I like her kind of character in the previous 2, but in this one, like, I really came to love her, and I think she's my second favorite character after Ronan. because she's just so resourceful, she's so good with people, and that really shines in this book. We kind of see, okay, well, Gansey, you were able to bribe people in the previous books, you were kind of able to intimidate people in the previous books, Ronan, and they all have their own ways of like dealing with situations, and we just get to see how good Blue is in this book and how resourceful she is, and the way she like interacts with people and connects with them on a personal level to kind of establish a connection between her and them to get what she needs. And yeah, it was really good and I really enjoyed that, but we'll get more into that when I break down the main points of this book. But yeah, I rated this 5 stars. I was gonna do it 4 stars because I was like, well, it's not an absolute favourite book of all time, but then I was like, I'm thoroughly enjoying these books. Why limit them? Let's just give them 5 stars because I enjoyed them. So it's more of a 5 stars based on like, I've really enjoyed these rather than like, this is the best book ever, because that's normally what I reserve 5 stars for. I normally reserve it for like books where I'm like, this is one of my favorites. But yeah, we're making an exception. I probably made a few exceptions, but this is the most recent exception where it's just, I enjoyed it too much to like put it as 4 stars. But yeah, we learn a lot in this book. So let's break down some of the main points that we learn for future Sam when he rewatches this because he's forgot everything. But in this book, we start immediately after the previous one where Moore lose Blue's mum, and I finally started to click the names of the other 2 women in that household. There's Persephone and Calla. They're the other 2 women. I've never like really clung on to names because as soon as I finish a book, all the names leave my head. So yeah, I finally remembered their names. So if I forget again in this video, there they are, Persephone and Calla. And then there was Moore, Blue's mum. So Moore in the previous book went down a hole and was like, see ya, I'm gonna go find your dad. And Blue was like, what the fuck? So in this book, we immediately start following that and we try to go down the hole, but it's seemingly blocked and they can't get in because there's like this swarm of ravens that kind of like scare them off. So they're like, well, we're gonna have to find a new entrance. And that's kind of the main driving point of this book, is we need to find a new way into the cave that Moore went into, and we need to get her out before she does something else, because there's a prophecy of 3 sleepers that went with Glendower when he was like put under the ground. Because we basically learned that Glendower, obviously he's the king, he was brought over from Wales across a straight line across the ocean, which they all talk about is impossible, but it happened. So they bring him across to America and they are trying to hide his body. And we learn in this book that obviously his servants must have like stayed with him and gone to sleep with them as well. So there's 3 sleepers. One of them is to be woken up. One of them you shouldn't wake up at any costs. And the third one is just kind of like dead. So we'll get to that in a minute. So yeah, that's the main driving point of this plot, is there's some sleepers. We need to kind of figure out which one we're supposed to wake up and which one we're not. And we also have to find a new entrance to the cave in the first place to get Blue's mum out. And like see if she actually found her dad. So we start off straight away. We can't get in the cave, so we go, okay, we're gonna need some help to kind of figure out where other entrances could be. We need like a scholar, and Gansey has like a professor friend called Mallory. And now I will say, Mallory is such a nothing character. Like, he's brought in straight away as this character, like, oh, he's going to help us find this new entrance. And I guess he does, but really it's Blue that finds the entrance. So yeah, Mallory only really helps them at one point where they're like looking at maps and he's talking about like the straight line across the ocean being impossible, and like pointing out some mountains that perhaps could be the thing where it like overlaps with the ley line or whatever. So he does do a little bit, but like at the end of the day, like he's such a nothing character. I feel like I know nothing about him. But yeah, we go over to the university and get Mallory, and Gansey's like, hey, we need your help to figure out a new entrance to this magical place. We're trying to find Glendower. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'm going to go with these kids and help them find a mysterious, I was going to say God then, a mysterious king that grants wishes. Of course I would do that because I'm an academic. And one of my favourite lines that just stuck with me, and it just made me like, I was like driving, listening to the audiobook of the first part of this, and this line just made me laugh so much. And it was, Mallory has like a service animal. So he has like a dog, and they're like, oh, well, I'm bringing my dog. And they're like, why do you have a dog? And he's like, well, he's my service animal. And then Ronan's in the corner like, what kind of services does he provide? And I'm just like, I just found that so funny. I'm like, Ronan, like, I don't even know if it was intended to be like sly, but that's how I took it, because I just thought that's the kind of way he would say it. He's like, what kind of services does he provide? I really have grown to love Ronan. I just think his dry sense of humor is so funny. And I normally I'm not a fan of the character that is kind of like just a mean person to everyone and hates everyone, but like Ronan pulls it off because he's just funny, and at the end of the day he is there for his gang in like ways you can actually, because a lot of these books, they hit from, but they're personally, but then you never see it. But in this one, you actually see Ronan is fighting for his friends and stuff. So I think he works in that kind of trope of like mean guy. I laughed a lot at that line. I thought it was so funny. What can I say? I'm such a super ride. Yeah, I love that. So then we go back to town and they're in class, which is one of the few times we actually see them going to Aglenby, which is the school they're all supposed to be at. They're supposed to be Raven Boys, but we never really see them at school or like in class. We did a little bit in the first book because obviously one of their teachers was like an assassin or whatever he was. And he was like, he killed Noah and that. But we never really actually see them in school. They're most of the time they're at like Blue's house or just like around the town. So we see them in class and this new teacher walks in, the new Latin teacher, and it's Green Mantle, Grey Man's boss from the previous book. The same man that got, that's the washing machine beeping. The same man that hired the hit on Ronan's dad. So obviously Ronan is pissed when he finds out who this is. But yeah, Grey Mantle is the big boss. Obviously, the Grey Man defied him in the previous book and was like, I'll get you the Grey Warren. Actually, JK, I'm going to run off with it. So Green Mantles comes to town and it's like, right, we need to tie up some loose ends because I want this Grey Warren. I want the power to bring things out of dreams, so you're going to do it for me. So he becomes the new Latin teacher and there's like a little tiff with Ronan again and they're like speaking Latin to each other and yeah, it was very, very interesting. And so Green Mantle's in town and he has a wife called Piper who becomes more relevant towards the end of the thing because it kind of seems that she's going to be the main villain rather than Green Mantle because by the end of the book, we find out that Green Mantle's kind of a wuss. So yeah, Piper is the one to watch out for. She has this kind of weird kind of interest in the magical and these mysterious feelings and stuff that she gets. And she's a very interesting character. I hope we get a bit more of her in the second in the second book, in the next book, because I think she could make potentially a really interesting villain because she's very cutthroat. And she does something in the end of the book that makes me want to cry. But anyway, let's move on from that. Okay, so Blue and Gansey go out to find the entrance with Mallory, like a new cave entrance. And we eventually come to a plot of land. We eventually come to like a small community and they kind of ask around and everyone kind of points them in different directions. Like, go talk to this one. Oh, go talk to this one. And this is where Blue really shines because she's like, Gansey is basically like, let's just bribe people. Let's just like do all this expensive stuff. Let's just throw money at the problem. Whereas Blue's like, no, if we just talk to the locals and use our actual skills as like people, we can probably find it. And she does. And then she's like, yeah, told you. We find this man called Jesse Dintley. And he has like a curse on him and his house is like bleeding all the time. The wallpaper's ripping. His family members keep going down this cave and like they either die and they stay down there and it's like a tradition every now and then one of their family members has to go down the cave. And he just assumes it's a curse. And this moment where Blue is obviously connecting with him and she's like, oh, I have a curse as well. And he's like, what's your curse? And he said, well, if I kiss my true love, they die. And he's like, yeah, there's a standard curse. You get some information on Jesse Dintley. He like shows us the cave and we're like, yeah, that's the one. But he doesn't want them to go down because he's a really lovely man and he doesn't want them to get hurt. He doesn't want them to die. His family goes in there and dies, so he's like, I'm not letting anyone else in there. So eventually Blue does come back by herself and she does some yard work for him and she really gets to know him and bond with him. And then by the end of it, he's like, you know what, if you want to go down, you can go down, but I'm gonna make sure you don't die. Jesse becomes like this really like just like lovable character. He's just a side character that you're just like, oh, you're so sweet, you're so nice, I really like you. And then he fucking dies at the end of the book. A quick jump ahead, but fucking Piper shoots him and he's like, because they're all like rushing to the cave and he's there sat on a chair with his shotgun like, you will not enter this. And then Piper and Grey Mantle are going down and she shoots him and it's like, I really like Jesse. I was really hoping he would be in more books, but he was just like a cinnamon roll. He was like so sweet. But now he's dead. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But yeah, so she does that and he finally agrees to it. But by the time he agrees to it, it's like 10 p.m. and Calla comes driving in and she's like, where the hell have you been? Like, you can't just disappear for 10 hours. Like, Calla is pissed. And Gansey's there. And it's this whole drama. So Gansey's taking her home because Calla doesn't even want to be in the same car as her. And Blue and Gansey roll across this guy at the side of the road called Henry, who I think is going to be a bigger character in the fourth book because Alice, my friend, said that she really likes the character, but she thinks they're only in the fourth book. And it very much felt like it was setting Henry up to be like a more like thorough character in the next book because he's just kind of at the side of the road. It's kind of like a nothing moment, but they stopped helping. Blue's kind of annoyed that Gansy's helping him because she doesn't like dealing with Raven boys and Aglan B boys. But Gansy's like, yeah, here you go, here's some help. So yeah, that was interesting. I feel like he's definitely going to show up again. He did show up one other time in this book where there was some tiles falling off the roof, and Adam uses his like magic powers to stop them hitting him, and there's like a circle of debris around him, but nothing, not even the dust, hit him. And everyone's like, how the hell did you do that? And Henry's kind of like suspicious as well. Like he's actively says, how did you do that? So Henry is definitely going to come in the next book. I don't know whether it's going to be as a friend or a foe. Maybe he'll be jealous and want the powers, or maybe he'll want to help them. I don't know. Maybe he's another one of Glendower's children. We'll come back to that in a minute. But yeah, he is a very interesting character, and I don't know whether he's going to play a more important part coming up. Also in this book, we go to Adam's court case against his abusive dad, and it doesn't really go into the trial, which I think was the right choice because it's kind of like a sensitive subject, and I don't think it kind of fits the whimsy of the story. I think it kind of would have been out of place and maybe not handled the best in kind of like a whimsical fantasy moment. So I like that she kind of avoids going into detail about that. But there is a sweet moment before we cut to black where Adam's like facing this alone, and he's like, okay, this is going to be a really bad hour for me, but if I could just get through it, all this, I'll never have to do it again. Like he's really like just fighting through it. And at the last minute, the doors are closed, but at the last minute the speaker goes to the judge and it's like, hey, we have two people outside that want to be witnesses to this case. And in comes Gansey and Ronan. Gansey's like buddy with the judge because obviously his mum is like running for president, so he's like a popular kind of rich person, knows everyone. So he's like talking to the judge and he's like, hey, Ronan was actually there at one of the incidences with Adam's dad. He would like to testify as a witness to that, and I would like to be a character witness, and the judge allows it. So they were just there to support him, and Adam notes that they were like out of breath and sweating. Like they ran all the way as fast as they could to support Adam, and I was like, it's a really sweet moment, and I'm so glad they were there. They could have got there a bit earlier, but yeah, it was really sweet that they all went there for him and to support him. And normally Adam doesn't really accept help, but he was like, okay, this time I'll allow it because they're not like just throwing money at me. They're not kind of like doing it out of pity. They're actually genuinely trying to help me get out of a horrible situation, and so he allows it. And even Gansey like looks for approval to Adam, and it's just so sad. I don't really like this. Okay, so if we roll back just a little bit, we have the Green Mantle has kind of a confrontation with the Grey Man. The Grey Man basically tries to go off and like tell him to fuck off, but because the Grey Mantle has so much power, he's like a spider web. He could ruin their lives so easily by, if like they try and kill him, he could like put out a load of like hits and kind of bad information, like ruin Gansey's mum's presidential run. He could kill loved ones. He could endanger their reputations. Like he is like a spider in his web, so they can't outright attack him. So the Grey Mantle tries to go reason with him or try and like threaten to shoot Piper to tell him to be like, yeah, get lost. But the Green Mantle is just like chill. He doesn't care. He's like, yeah, shoot or whatever. He has important business. He wants the Grey Warren, which he still doesn't believe is like not like a real thing. Like he doesn't realize that it's Ronan. So the Grey Man's attempt to get rid of him fails, and this is where Adam and Ronan come in because they decide that they're going to take things into their own hands and they're going to create a web of their own. And they come up with this giant like irrefutable pile of evidence that the Grey Mantle is a nonce and that he killed children, because they're like, well, we need to do something that he's really not going to want to go to prison for, and you know what happens to people that do things to children in prison, so let's go with that. And Ronan's kind of like, can we not just like say he killed my dad and like get evidence for that? And Adam's like, we could, but that would like not stick as much, and we need to be able to control the thing we're getting in behind, because he could easily dispute the Ronan's dad thing. He could say he was in a different place, that kind of thing. So we need something like he can't refute, and that's going to be something that we make up, because obviously we have Adam's magic powers, we have Ronan's dream powers. Ronan can bring anything out of his dreams. He can make evidence. He can do whatever. So their plan is to frame him as a nonce and a murderer. And it does work in the end, and it really terrifies Green Mantle. And he tries to go to Piper and get them out of town. He's like, okay, maybe we should just leave. And Piper's like, no, I found the cave, we're going to go to it. And that's where she kills Jesse. That links back to that. So yeah, they make this whole thing. And also the main thing that kind of convinced Ronan to go with Adam's plan and not for kind of like push doing his dad stuff, was because we find out that Matthew is also a creation of Ronan's dream. So just like his dad made his mother from the dream realm, Ronan made Matthew, and Ronan is very protective of Matthew because they have like a really strong bond, even though Matthew's not really in the book that much, but we're told that they have a really strong bond. And yeah, if he goes about the dad route, then Matthew will have to testify, and Matthew will have to go through all the ordeal of all that, and he's like, okay, you know what, I don't want my brother to do that, because he's got a heart, really. Ronan has a heart, okay. And also, so yeah, it was just kind of like crazy to like, everyone in Ronan's family is basically a dream person. Like, okay, so if Ronan dies as well, like, Matthew is also just going to fall asleep forever. Oh, I forgot that happened. So there's also points where Adam and Ronan go back to Ronan's house, and they find all these dreaming cows and stuff, and Ronan is basically trying to find a way to bring the green water magic out of the cave so that his mum's not stuck in the cave forever, because she has to be with green water to be able to be awake. If she leaves it, she'll just fall asleep again, because obviously the dad is dead and can't control like her being alive again. So there's all this cattle that his dad had got as well, and they were all asleep, so they're like testing things on that to try and wake them up. It's this whole thing. I'm sure it'll develop more in the next book, and I'm rambling now. But yeah, that they are basically going after the Green Mantle, and it does work essentially, and they have like a severed hand, is like they put in an envelope a severed hand and the evidence, and the Green Mantle's like, what the hell? I know I'm like a big mafia boss or whatever, but even I wouldn't go this far. And he's like, I do not want to go to prison for this. And that's that. So then we get to actually going down the cave for the first time, and the whole gang goes down, and Ganzi's like, this is too easy. Like, this whole mystery can't end like this. Like, this is too easy. This doesn't feel like complete. It's just not right. But they find a tomb that's seemingly Glendower's, and they open it, and there's a coffin with his like figure on it. So they're like, is this really him? Are we about to like finish this entire thing? And obviously we know we're not, because they're on the third book. But there was a part of me like, maybe they will wake him up and something terrible is going to happen, and that's going to be the final book's like whole thing. But no, it turns out that in the tomb, it's like a dummy tomb, and we find Glendower's illegitimate child, Gwendolyn. And she is the Mad Hatter, basically. She is crazy because she has been awake for 600 years. She was like tied up and put to sleep in the cave, but she didn't actually go to sleep because she's a light sleeper, you know. And yeah, she is crazy. She was behind the curse of Jessie. So there's a funny confrontation between Jessie, and it's like, did you make my walls bleed? And she's like, maybe. And he's like, did you kill my cat? And she was like, it was an accident, okay. And it was very funny. Not the cat death, that was unnecessarily. But yeah, it was, that confrontation was kind of funny. And he's like, you've been behind the curse the entire time? And she's like, yeah, someone had to be. I was just trying to get like contact. Trapped in a tomb for 600 years, I've got to do something. But she's crazy, and they take her back to Blue's house, and Calla again is just pissed. She's pissed the entire book. Like, she's like, I told you, I know I told you there was a third sleeper. I did tell you to bring them to my house. So we find out that Gwendolyn was the third sleeper, the one that kind of is just like, do whatever you want with her, basically. Like, you wake her, don't wake her, whatever, we don't care. It's just like things are more magical in 3, so we try and do 3s. It's looking like we're going to shape Gwendolyn up to be another one of the psychics in the household, and there is room now because we find out that Persephone dies. I can't remember exactly the circumstances around it right now. It's kind of foggy in my brain, but we find her in the attic and she's dead on the floor. So yeah, that was strange. R.I.P. Persephone, you were kind of cool. I never really formed an attachment to you. But yeah, R.I.P. There is an opening in the Blue House now. Obviously, Moore is gone, but that's temporary. So maybe Gwendolyn will take Persephone's place. We did set her up a bedroom in the attic. So yeah, Blue becomes very hyper aware of like death and the shortness of life, and she's like, you know what, Persephone's dead now, this is really hitting me, I'm not gonna let this happen to my mum, we've spent enough time faffing around, I'm going down that cave. So she goes, and Ronan's with her, but they kind of get separated by this river that kind of evaporates anything that touches it, but because Blue's kind of like a magic amplifier thing, she's able to go through it, and she goes through. Ronan waits behind, he's like very much like by her side, he's like supporting her, and he's like, yeah, you go ahead, I don't want to die, but you go ahead and find your mum. And she does find her mum, and she also finds Armitage, her dad, who we also learned previously was the one that put Gwendolyn in the cave 600 years ago. So now she's like, is my dad 600 years old? Is he crazy like her? Like, all these random questions. Like, it's very Riverdale, like I said. So yeah, we find the mum and we find Armistice, her dad, and the third sleeper, who is, or like the one that we're not supposed to wake up, is kind of using mind control, like mind powers, to kind of torment them and try and get them to like come and wake him up, because he's like in the cave. They're in the cave as well. And he's like, well, you're all gonna die. Come open my cave, blue lily, lily, blue, and like singing songs and stuff. And it's very ominous. He gets her mum out, but on the way out, she runs into Piper and Greenmantle, who have come down the cave because Piper's got some goons, and she's like, I'm gonna go find out what all this magic is about. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted. So now I'm in my car. But yeah, basically we end with Blue like dragging her mum and her dad out of the cave and like saving them, but they run into Piper and Greenmantle. Greenmantle was trying to talk Piper out and was like, we need to go. They've got like this really damning evidence on me. And Piper's like, no, there's something magical in this cave and I'm gonna find out what it is. So yeah, we run into them. They've like captured the grey man who tried to stop them with Jessie, but obviously Jessie got shot dead. Blue Piper's gonna let Blue go because she's like, oh, I'll do one nice thing. I'll let the young girl and the injured people go, okay? But I will kill the grey man when I want to. But then Blue's like, oh, can I at least say goodbye to the grey man? And Piper's like, yeah, sure. And then Blue cuts his like bindings, and then there's this big kerfuffle, but Piper ends up like getting the gun anyway. But then the cave collapses. They all get out apart from Piper, who gets head damage. The goons die, and then there's this random woman called Neve who shows up at the end, who I'm not sure where she came from, but she's like at the end in the epilogue. But anyway, the main characters get out, like Blue, the mum, the dad, grey man, all get out unscathed. They're fine. We're going to see them in the next book. But then the epilogue is Piper in the cave. She kind of wakes up with head damage. She sees this person called Neve, and they're like, hey, we need 3 people to open the cave. Oh look, one of the goons is still alive. Let's open the door while he's like still like breathing on the floor. So they open the door, they find the tomb of the sleeper that we're not supposed to wake up, and they're like, hey, we'll get this power together, let's wake him. And then Piper's like, no, and she just opens the tomb, and Piper is the one that wakes up the sleeper. So yeah, all hell is going to break loose in the next book, because we were not supposed to wake this person up. I'm not sure what the consequences are going to be for waking this sleeper up, but I guess we'll find out soon. But yeah, it's really hot in this car, so I'm gonna try and wrap this up. That was kind of like a rambly review of this one, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Like, a lot of those moments were just like standout moments for me. I really enjoyed a lot of them. I really like Ronan's like dialogue. There was another line by Piper when she's like confronting Blue in the cave, and she's like, go be short somewhere else. It's like, okay, that was like a personal hit for no reason. Just call Blue short because she's like under 5 foot. But yeah, it was just a really good book. I really enjoyed this one. So let's get on to the 4th and final book in this video and this quartet. Hopefully it will be my new favorite. And then I just want to end it up with my Riverdale comparisons again. I don't know if I like put a character to character thing in the previous one, but I think as of now, my thoughts are that Blue is definitely Betty, because she's investigative, she's good with people, she's very headstrong, and she's resourceful. So I think she is Betty. I think that Adam is Jughead, because he's a weirdo. He's kind of he's also kind of a character out of his element, because Adam is a scholarship student within like this really elite prestigious school, so he's got a lot of pressure on him. And I feel like Jughead, being a part of a gang and part of a gang member in the kind of like normal society, they're kind of relatable. Also Adam is he's kind of a weirdo, so that's just vaguely put them two together. Then I think Gansey is Veronica, because obviously he's rich, he throws money at everything, he's very aggressive and headstrong, so I think those two kind of work well together. And then last pickings is Ronan as Archie. They both have dead dads, they both have kind of anger issues, and they both have like really funny lines like, what do you mean you dropped out of high school to run drugs for your nan? Like, have you never learned the highs and lows of high school football? Like, just the cringe lines, they always go to those characters, and it's always fun. Anyway, let's get into the 4th and final book in this quartet. Hopefully it'll be just enjoyable. See you there. Okay, so we are now on the final book, which is The Raven King. And guys, I'm sad to report that I didn't particularly like this one. I didn't hate it by any means, but after the highs of the Dream Thieves and Blue Lily Lily Blue, which had me like enthralled with this series and these characters, and I was thoroughly in love and I was excited to see where we were going, I read this one and I've just come out of it and I feel so underwhelmed. It felt very messy. Now I know the rest of the series has been messy and chaotic, but this one in particular just kind of felt disjointed and very kind of like rushed together. But I feel like personally I often say that the last book in a series is rushed purely because that's probably just an issue with me. I probably just don't like series ending. But yeah, I don't know, it just felt messy in a not Raven Cycle way. Like it felt kind of like there was these different strands that needed tying up together, and we just kind of pushed them all in together. And yeah, I often found myself whilst I was reading this one, I would drift away and have to go back and reread things because I would kind of be like, okay, I'm trying to focus. Oh wait. Oh wait, what's happening? What's happened? Why are they kissing? Like, what's happening? So yeah, my mind just kept wandering, and that kind of ruined it a bit as well, because with the other ones I was so invested and so into it, and I was like, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? Whereas this one was like, yeah, okay, can we get that over with now? Okay, that's done. Okay, let's go on to the next thing. Oh, what's happening with this? Yeah, so it was just kind of disappointing. But that's not to say there weren't some good things in this one. So from like, I've just finished and I'm trying to like just pick out the main points because I did ramble a bit in the other ones. So we have this demon, which was the second sleeper that we weren't supposed to wake up in the previous one, that Piper woke up, has now turned out to be like this really bad demon that's feeding off of the powers of Cabeswater and is like draining all the magic from that area to do other things or whatever Piper is asking it to do. And Piper has like full control of this demon because she's the one that woke it up and touched it. So she's just been like, make me a house in the cave, get me new clothes, make me this happen, make that happen. And every time the demon does something for her, it kind of drains like the magic and the life out of Cabeswater and the people connected to it, aka Adam and Ronan, and Blue by extension as well. Now, the weird character Neve gets a little bit more explanation in this one. She's kind of like a psychic that had ambitions to be like renowned. So yeah, I still can't quite remember how she ended up in the cave. Like, I'm still so confused as why she just came out of nowhere. So if you could let me know down in the comments who the hell Neve was. But she ends up dying because her and Piper spend a bit of time together, but Neve's kind of starting to grow like, well, maybe Piper's not the best person, maybe I should stop this before anything happens. And then before you know it, Piper's like, okay, I sense you're gonna betray me, kill her. And then that is the end of Neve, and I'm like, okay, what was the point in that character? There's also, kind of sticking with Piper for a minute, a moment where she goes after her obviously husband, Green Mantle. I can't remember Green Mantle's first name, because it's like, that's his second name. So he got out of the cave apparently in the other book, and he just kind of fucked off and went back to his normal life and was like, you know what, I'm out of here, like, I'm leaving Henrietta, I do not want to deal with this demon thing that my wife has woken up. So she kind of like goes after him through like, she kind of like, she's not there physically, what's the word for it, she kind of like projects herself there and kills him. And that was a really cool scene because there's like a bit where he's looking in the mirror and he's like, wait, that's my wife, and then he's like, oh wait, she's not actually here. And then she kills him. And yeah, I love that whole section. That was really cool and really sinister and really creepy. I actually really liked a lot of Piper's scenes. I thought her and the demon had this really interesting dynamic, and I liked that the demon was like having to use magic that already existed to fuel itself. So whilst we saw the demon grant things, we saw like the trees wither and die. And oh, I really love the description of how Cabeswater's different elements were like fighting back. So the easiest things that were dying were like the shrubbery, the birds, they were like vomiting everything out, but the trees were the things that kind of held on the strongest, because obviously the trees are the main part of the woods, and they were like fighting back, but they couldn't really do much, so they were starting to bleed this black sap and the wilt, but they were like the strongest elements of the cave and they were really holding out. And I really like that kind of description there. But yeah, leaving Piper behind for a minute, another big revelation we get in this book is that Cabeswater was Ronan. I feel like in every book we get like a revelation of someone being a dream person. Like in the first ones it was like Ronan's mum, then it was Ronan's brother, and now it's like the entirety of Cabeswater was from Ronan's head. So everything magical is Ronan, because he's just a magical prince boy and we love him, okay? I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah, Ronan is by far my favorite character. I can still say that in this last book with my whole chest. He's the best character in this series, okay? Fight me. But yeah, he dreamed up Cabeswater, and everything from Cabeswater is Ronan, and by extension the powers that Adam has, and that kind of deal that Adam made with Clearwater kind of links him stronger with Ronan, which leads me into my next point of Adam and Ronan kiss. And now I feel like I kind of knew this was gonna happen, because I feel like I vaguely remember my friend talking about that in like secondary school when she had read this book series. But yeah, that was kind of out of nowhere. Like they definitely had chemistry, like don't get me wrong, they had that chemistry, but I don't know, I never really read it as like romantic, but I'm kind of happy they're together, because I feel like they have been been at each other's sides for so long, and they've stood up to each other. Like Ronan stood up to Adam's dad with him, he was there at the court to support him, Adam's there with Ronan and kind of make sure Ronan doesn't like push everyone away. So they really like have this really strong bond. So I just like, yeah, I guess I like it that it went romantic, but I didn't see it coming, other than kind of a vague kind of recollection of my friend mentioning that at some point. But yeah, they just kissed, and I was like, oh, okay, they're kissing now, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, Adam and Ronan kiss and get together in this book. It's not like extensive, but we get enough. I think we get enough, and I'm hoping that maybe in the next series we will see more of them as a couple, as a figure, because we had a lot going on. We had to deal with a demon and a lot of like very pretentious rich people wanting to buy magical items. We did not have time for like some nice get to know you chill. So hopefully we'll get that in the next series. Okay. But yeah, Ronan and Adam are very cute, very cool. My two magical boys, well, not my two magical boys, but the two magical boys are now in love. And they like go through like Ronan's nightmares together, and they kind of like actually go into the things, and there's like dream monsters, and they go through it. They really go through it. And there's like a section towards the end where Ronan like pulls a bunch of blood out of his thing, and I think it was something to do with Matthew. I actually don't know what happened with Matthew. I think I kind of blanked out there, but I think Matthew dies. I think I can't really remember. I can't remember. I think because everything magical is decaying, so I think the mum and Matthew. Let me know in the comments. I literally can't remember, and it didn't really clarify it at the end, so I don't know if he got his mum and his brother back. I'm kind of like branching off like these different things and kind of just following where my brain takes me. But we also learned that Ronan's older brother Declan was kind of in the similar business to Ronan's dad, where his dad would bring back magical items from his dreams and sell them, and that's how they got their money. And his dad was travel around a lot, so people weren't like, oh, he's just dreaming this stuff and bringing it back. So he traveled to make it look like he was finding these things rather than dreaming them. And obviously the dad has died because the Grey Man killed him under the Green Mantle's orders. And then after his death, Declan just kind of went around the house and was like, right, I'll sell this magical item next, I'll sell this one, I'll sell this one. And now Piper is in the business of wanting to sell the demon. She's done what she wanted to do. She killed her husband. She got the ultimate power that she wanted. And now she's kind of like, yeah, I'm going to sell this and go do something better. And so everyone within this business is coming to Henrietta to kind of bid on this demon. So we got a lot of dangerous people coming. We got these twins that are very ominous, but not that threatening, to be honest with you. They were kind of here and there. We have these twins. We have other people. Declan's involved. It was a thing. But then we have Henry, who we did kind of. It was kind of suggested in the previous book that he was going to be a bigger player in this book, but honestly he kind of just felt like tacked on. Like I didn't really see the point of his inclusion. But basically his mum is one of the bidders that like goes after magical items, and the only reason that he's now here in Henrietta is because his mum wanted a reason to go there and buy magical things, and she didn't want it to be suspicious, so she was like, oh, I'm just visiting my son, meanwhile she's buying magical items, which is kind of sucky. Like, oh, that's so mean. Henry is there, and he is like an interesting character. Like he had some funny moments, but like overall, like I don't really see why he was here if he was gonna be a main character within the group, because at the end it's like, oh yes, it's Adam and Ronan and Blue and Gansey and Henry. And I was like, okay. So I wish that maybe he had come in the Dream Thieves and been there a bit more throughout the series, just to build him in there, not just kind of like sprinkled in Blue, Lily, Blue, and then like pushed to the forefront in this one. It felt like very abrupt, especially since we were led to, they wanted us to think he was part of the main group now, and I'm like, we barely know you, dude. Like, no. But yeah, he throws like a toga party, you know, like the Greek Roman kind of dress wear, like bed sheets basically draped around them. He throws one of those with all the other kind of exchange students. and he invites Gansey and Blue, and it's very weird, very Riverdale, like just a random toga party. He also has like a one-to-one kind of time with Gansey, and he forces Gansey to hold a bee and is like, you should just see this as something that can be beautiful, not something that can kill you. And I'm like, dude, he's deadly allergic. You could literally be about to kill him right now. We also learn that he's scared of holes, because something with his mum made him go down a hole or something like that. And yeah, ultimately, Gansey finally is just like, you know what, the demon is like corrupting everything. I need to go find this king, and I need to use the wish to get rid of the demon, but also to like save my friends. So he goes off alone. And he runs into Henry on the way, and Henry's like, you know what, I'll help you out. So they go to this old kind of colonial house. They find the entrance to the cave water. Henry is kind of obviously scared of holes, so he doesn't go in, but he gives Gansey his Aglenby sweaters, which kind of aligns with the vision Blue had of Gansey's gonna die in this outfit, which I caught, and I was like, oh no, don't give him your jacket, that means he's gonna die. So Gansey goes into the hole alone. He's like very focused, but then his lights start to break, his torch breaks, his phone breaks, and then he hears a swarming sound, which can be implied to be bees, like he's about to meet a swarm of death. And then out comes Ronan, Adam, Blue, and Henry, as they were tracking him this whole time, to kind of cracked up to him like, for fuck's sake, Gansey, why have you gone off alone? So they were tracking him. They find Henry, and Henry goes down, leads them down into the hole to Gansey, and they use their magical powers to turn the swarm of bees into leaves and dust. And then Henry says shit, but like there was no shit, so no, not too magical. I was expecting it to be like, and there was piles of shit all over the floor, and they were all going to look at Henry like, dude, seriously? Because Henry was kind of like, shit. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, that was a really wholesome moment where they were all just stood behind him in the cave, and then we got the whole group together and Henry. And it was just so cool, and I just love the friendship groups. Even if I didn't necessarily like the book, I really liked kind of those moments of the whole group together. And there's also a moment I liked early on where Henry gets like kidnapped by Mr. Grey, who is basically there just to kind of suss out what's Henry's deal, why is he like trying to get into our friendship group. So Mr. Grey goes to ask him questions, and also to kind of be like, so there's a bunch of like bidders coming to like buy a demon, like do you know who any of them are? But he obviously, he's Mr. Grey, he doesn't have the best social skills, so he's kind of like pulls a gun, he's like, come with me. Who will answer my questions? Come with me, I just want to talk. And Henry's like, dude, you're holding a gun in my face. And Henry has like this mechanical bee that was a dream thing that his mum bought off Ronan's dad, and it's kind of like this bee that just does whatever Henry wants it to do. He's like, right, go find this person, right, protect me, that kind of thing. It's a very cute little bee. So yeah, he is like, bee, I'm about to be kidnapped, can you like help? And the bee's like, yes, I'm coming. But then the bee gets stuck outside the car, and yeah, anyway, and we get the reveal that it's Mr. Grey. But yeah, that was a very funny moment. I just love how like terrible Mr. Grey is with people. He just points a gun, like, dude, just ask the question. He's like, answer the question now. Yeah, I love Mr. Grey as well. Like, he's one of my second favorite character. We get a bit more stuff with Blue and her dad, and I think Blue turns into a tree at some point. I honestly didn't know what was going on at that point. Like, I like zoned out, and it was like, she looked down at her tree body, and she didn't have eyes or arms, but she had branches or something like that. And it was like, and I think her dad was a tree magician as well. Like, he wasn't a tree, he was a magician in the form of a tree. And I'm like, what is going on? Why are we trees now? But that was kind of like a bit where I zoned out, so correct me if I'm wrong there, but I think Blue turned into a tree at some point. And it was very weird. And I still don't get the whole point of her dad. Like, he didn't seem that important. Yeah, I think that's said pretty much everything I wanted to say. There is another, I'm kind of just pointing out cool moments rather than like telling what happens in the plot, because honestly there isn't really one that I liked enough to pay attention to. But there's also a moment that kind of felt like a Stranger Things moment, where Adam's like in the bathroom or something, and this black goo suddenly appears, and it's kind of taken over everything, and Cave's water in Adam's brain is like, get on the sink, turn the taps on quick, and Cave's water trying to protect him, which we now know is Ronan and maybe not consciously, but subconsciously he was protecting Adam through Cave's water and his like creation of that magic thing. Anyway, so Adam's like crawling on the sink and the goo's getting higher and it's reaching out for him and he spills all the water and the water finally spills over and it vanquishes the back stuff, which was the demon obviously. And yeah, that was a very cool moment. It felt really Stranger Things for some reason and it played out like that in my head, but that was a really cool moment. But yeah, in the end, they basically get rid of the demon by fulfilling the prophecy of Ganzi. Like, someone has to die to kind of get rid of it. So Ganzi kind of self-sacrifices himself, but they're like, you don't actually have to die. We could actually just kind of present you as dead, but use Cave's water to bring you back. Like, we could just kill you, use Cave's water to trap your spirit, because obviously we know we can do that with Noah, who kind of is decaying and thing. Noah kind of like bites the bullet here. He's like decaying. He's like basically gone. But they're like, we can use Cave's water to trap your spirit. You can be dead for a minute and then we'll force your spirit back into your body and you'll be fine. And they do that and it's successful and Ganzi survives. Yeah. And then they wish away Cave's water because it didn't really work with Ganzi. So they're like, okay, Cave's water, can you like die to fulfill the prophecy? Oh no, the Ganzi dying was to circumvent the blue prophecy, and the Cave's water dying was to get rid of the demon and the magical stuff. It's like a life for a life, so they get rid of Cave's water. Or something like that. It was very confusing. But yeah, that's basically this book. I just rambled my way through that for 17 minutes. But yeah, they're kind of the bits that stuck out to me, kind of the poignant moments that I personally liked. I really like the character stuff with Ronan and Adam specifically. Like, I've never really been a fan of Adam, but now he's kind of seemingly more an interesting character. And my theory broke because this book was not more focused on Adam. Like, I thought each book would focus more on a character, but this one wasn't really on Adam. So maybe the first book was Adam's book and this one was Ganzi's, because it would make more sense if this is Ganzi's one. So maybe I was wrong there. Maybe the first book is more of Adam's kind of focus, because we do get the dad stuff in that one. And we get the scholarship stuff, and we do get the stuff with Blue as well. Like, he looks like a potential love interest with Blue, and then they don't really work out. So yeah, maybe the first book was Adam's book, and this one is Ganzi's. Okay, that makes my theory work. We'll go with that one. The Raven Cycle is Adam's book. The Dream Thieves is Ronan's book. Blue Lily Lily Blue is Blue's book, and The Raven King is Ganzi's book. Okay, we'll go with that. My theory works. But yeah, that is The Raven King. I would rate it probably 3 stars. At a push, but because there were moments that I enjoyed and I did continue to enjoy the group, and although I did make fun of Henry for just kind of be tacked on, he wasn't too bad of a character. He was okay. We've got the group and Henry, and yeah, I'm interested to see where this world is going to go now that we don't have Cave's water, but we end with kind of Ronan thinking about, okay, so now I know how to use my powers. What would I do to make Cave's water better in the future? So we get a little hint that maybe Ronan is going to create another Cave's water. Oh, and the whole thing, I didn't even quickly going back to the Glendower, the king, we find him and he's just dead and he doesn't grant us a wish. So that whole kind of thing was pointless. Well, not pointless because it drove the plot forward, and I don't think it was like pointless in a plot sense. I just kind of find it annoying that he didn't actually grant a wish, because that would have made things too easy, I guess. They could have just been like, okay, can we just end this all? And the king's like, okay. So yeah, I guess it works that he wasn't actually magical and alive and granting wishes, but also it kind of felt a little bit disappointing. I'm not going to lie, after all that build-up, we could have had something, okay? But no, he's just a skeleton, and they try and wake him up, but it doesn't work. He's just dead, and they're like, okay, plan B. That's this book. Very, like, rambly thoughts, but they're the main points that stuck out to me. Love the characters, but not a massive fan of the plot in this one. Not gonna lie. Okay, so that is us all caught up with the Raven Cycle Quartet. We can now be part of the cool guys. We can talk about the series, guys. Like, look at us. But yeah, leave all your thoughts if you haven't already down in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about each of these books now that we've read them together, because I like to assume that you read these books along with me. Like, is that too presumptuous? But yeah, I think overall, like, let's have a little bit of a ranking. So I think my favorite book in the series was Blue Lily Lily Blue. It was just full of like craziness, and I really liked this one. It was like cool. I liked Blue as a character a lot in this book. Then my second favorite one was The Dream Thieves, because Ronan, obviously, and I loved all the kind of the pulling things out of dreams and figuring out how that worked. Then we have the Raven Boys. I really like this initial delve into the mystery. I like the grey man in this one. and the initial discovery of Cape's Water as well. And then the least favourite is by far, like these three are very close, whereas this one is kind of like all the way on the other end, and it's like, yeah, it was okay. I guess it's the conclusion, but it didn't really do anything for me. I liked some of the character moments, but yeah, that was that. So yeah, that's my ranking of the series. Is Blue Lily Lily Blue, The Dream Thieves, The Raven Cycle, The Raven King. Okay. I said The Raven Cycle. I keep mixing it up with the names of the Vauxhall Court series, but no, The Raven Boys. Sorry. But yeah, we have now caught up with the Raven Boys Quartet. I will definitely continue in this world and these series if you are interested. But yeah, I'm very happy to have read these and know what they're about now, because these have been on my shelves for a very long time. But I think I'll leave it there. So I look forward to talking to anyone down in the comments below. Leave a like, comment and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next video. I'm not sure what it will be yet, but I'll see you there. Bye!